Didn't Baba look like from the Wild West, or he could be Mexican?
Yeah, with his
bandana. He looks like one of Pancho Villa's.
Merwan and Gustavo in the 20s.
On December 15th, 1918, when Merwan was 24 years old, a sister named Manija was born. Che Baba.
Che Baba.
While his mother was in the Sassoon Hospital, he would often visit, bringing her gifts. Merwan was the first to see Manija as soon as she was born. He picked her up and kissed her, even before the nurses could give her a bath. At this time, Merwan would sleep at different places, and when Shireen returned home with Manija, he would come to the house to see his baby sister. He would often sit rocking her cradle, singing to her. Wow. He said, "She is so fortunate, she is mine."
Oh, look at her.
Oh.
Oh, was she cutie pie?
Yeah.
And that's John.
But she was very dark.
Yeah, she was dark. And
then she got that skin disease.
Skin thing.
But usually you get blotches and it looks...
It was perfect. She looked perfectly clear.
I've got a wonderful picture that I gave him to Karina. She's going to have copies made, but it's Mani, and she still has all black hair, and she's looking up and has a polka dotted scarf, and it's precious. You know. So when we get a negative made from it, you know.
Wonderful.
Jamshed had moved back to Pune and had married a first cousin named Khurshid, the daughter of Shireen's brother Dinshaw and wife Rawat. Khurshid had really preferred to marry Merwan and had had her eye on him for a long time. Oh. This is, who is this? Oh, this is Manija too. I love, look at her.
Oh, she looks so beautiful.
Wow. Merwan knew this and had persuaded Jamshed to marry her.
He said, "No, it's not my comment."
Jam running resistance, it's called. Jamshed really did not want to marry the girl. Oh my God. But Merwan pressured him to agree to this arranged marriage. Jamshed was then working for the government at the Military Accounts Department. On Thursday and Sunday mornings, Merwan Seth would arrive at the toddy shop by 4 o'clock. He would stir every person connected with him in Kasbapet, awakening them to participate in the prayers held in the temple. He would also bring his relatives and acquaintances, encouraging them to attend these sessions.
You know what you were talking about earlier when you were in love?
Yeah.
When you were on fire?
Yeah.
Can you imagine him? He had so much love and fire that, like, he didn't want you to miss the prayers. And you know what I mean? You follow me?
Yeah.
Like when you're on fire?
Yes, yes.
You know that it's special?
Yes,
so
yes.
they say he would, what? Arouse stir the whole neighborhood up.
At 4 o'clock.
Come on. We're going to have prayers.
The enthusiasm.
No, I mean, he had to have so much love and fire, but people would come.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if he didn't have it, they would throw probably shoes at him. But isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
But I could almost, don't you feel that?
Oh, it's wonderful.
When you're that on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, people will respond too, because
it's
somebody
God.
came to your door 4 a.m, come on, for prayers.
Oh, they know it's...
And you would know that, wow,
yeah.
who in their right mind would do it unless they're on fire?
Yeah.
Wow,
that's good.
It's really nice to hear.
I'll read that again. On Thursday and Sunday mornings, Merwan Seth would arrive at the toddy shop by 4 o'clock. He would stir every person connected with him in Kasbapet, awakening them to participate in the prayers held in the temple. He would also bring his relatives and acquaintances, encouraging them to attend these sessions.
Wow.
At this time, Aunt Dawla, Uncle Feridun, and his cousins Asfandiar and Naja had surrendered to his guidance completely. Oh, that's, you know who Asfandiar is? Pendu.
Oh.
Pendu and Naja, his sister.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Penned his name with
Yeah,
this.
it's on there.
Wow.
They had surrendered to his guidance completely, and their lives were at his command. The whole family of in-laws had a special feeling of love for their Merwan. One incident which sealed their love for him occurred when Aunt Dala and Espandiar went to Sakori to have Upasni Maharaj's darshan. There the great yogi said to them, "Your Merwan is no ordinary man. He is as great as Zarathustra."
Ooh.
This is the picture. Meher Baba's relative.
Doesn't it look like an ancient picture?
Oh my God.
Meher Baba's relatives at Upasni Maharaj's ashram in the 20s in Sakori, Aunt Dala, Uncle Fardun holding Manija, and Jamshed's wife Khorshid.
Wow, that's Khorshid that wanted to marry Baba.
Manija.
No, Khorshid wanted to marry Baba, remember?
Oh! Well, she has good taste.
Yeah, really. The best. After the ceremonies, prasad of sweets, cakes, and fruits were widely distributed to all who came. From the beginning, many children would come to the temple just for the prasad. Gradually, the number of devotees at the small temple increased, and among those who were to establish a lifelong connection were Bala S. Pimple, Tambat, Vital Ganu Bokre, Kandiram Chiam Chowdhury, Mariah, and Dwarku Master.
I like that Bala Pimple.
Isn't that funny? S. Pimple.
Pimpali, maybe it's Pimple God.
Oh, yeah, it is like that, isn't it? Maybe he's the founder. Thus, from the humble surroundings of this fishing wharf area, the fishermen, the inception of the first mandali.
You know, that was something last week too that was new to me. I didn't know Baba had the tally shop was right on like a little river where there was a wharf.
Yeah.
So he was like a fisherman, and they said the workers and fishermen would come and come to the tally shop. It was like you say, the fisher of men.
Yeah. The first mandali, the inception of the first mandali, circle members of a master began recognizing their Merwan Seth to be God realized. During the day, Merwan Seth continued to work very strenuously in the toddy shop, for he was still coming down to gross consciousness. And until midnight would sit beside Babajan. He would then go home to rest, but rise again by 3 o'clock. Wow. To go to the temple and meditate or concentrate for 2 hours on the photograph of Upasni Maharaj that adorned the room. By 5 o'clock, the daily arti to Upasni Maharaj would be sung, usually by Gustaji, and thus the worship of God in human form, the perfect master, was begun in this one-room temple. At this time, although Merwan Seth was only in his mid-20s, every person would trust him implicitly, treating him with honor and respect. Merwan Seth would often treat some of the worst ruffians or derelicts with affection. The attention he paid to such unsavory characters amazed his devotees.
You know, when you have love in your heart, you don't see any difference.
Yeah.
It's intoxication, and you just...
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a beautiful...
Isn't that wonderful?
I love
His
that.
example.
I mean, I could love that scene. I just see it, you know, how the goody two-shoes will say,
oh, yeah.
how's he talking to them?
Yeah.
I would never talk to them.
Yeah. Well, you know, I felt the same when I was around Mara. I felt she knew what love was. And one time, you know, I mean, she was telling a story of Zuleika. That was the name Baba gave Margaret Kraft. And she told a story. It was a story of Joseph and the many colored coats. Well, he got thrown in jail. You know, he got thrown in the ditch and then taken off to Egypt, and then they put him in jail. Oh, no. He gained their favor because he used to have these prophetic dreams. Mm-hmm. And the wife of the captain of the guard was drawn to him. She was desirous of him. So she brought him to her, and when he wouldn't have anything to do with her, she ripped her clothes and yelled out rape. So he was thrown into jail. And Mara was telling the story, and then she went, and she was looking up, and she went all excited, and she went, and Zuleika loved Yusuf so much she had him thrown in jail.
Oh my God.
I never forget that. She saw it like love, you know. And then I thought, I want to be there someday when I don't have to know, is this right or wrong? You just know, because you're in love.
And also, it shows you the game of illusion that we play on the stage.
Oh, yeah.
Of success, of jail. What does it matter?
Yeah, really.
When there's love.
Really? Oh, there's Kathy.
You know, when there is love, there is no need for status. The status is what we pay in illusion. Oh, you're jailed. You're an outcast.
Yes.
But in the universal sense, it's just a game.
Yeah.
It's all part of the Maya. I mean, your slate is totally wiped clean.
See, Baba's doing that now. He's showing people that the jailers are prisoners too. You know.
Yeah. Oh, Gus isn't parking.
I need to get something warm.
That become involved because where were you during the day?
Here we are.
We're at the
old
beginning.
Man who was particularly.
Oh yeah, okay. This was at the toddy shop. One old man.
One old man who was particularly fond of Merwan Seth was an opium addict.
Opium. Drugs.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Iran is a lot. Yeah.
Ah.
This Baba lover that came, the playwright, he wrote this play. His latest play is called Viper Opium.
Oh my God. He writes about.
He's a 12-step person.
Well, I think opium, when you get addicted, is so hard to stop.
The man used to give massages to earn money to support his narcotic habit. His addiction was terrible. He hardly ever spent his earnings on food or clothes. He lived in the neighborhood streets of Kasbapet and would visit the toddy shop often, sitting for hours talking with Merwan Seth. What was his name? We don't know yet. Huh? At night he would sleep on the pavement. One day this man requested of Merwan Seth, "Do me a favor. If anything happens to me, I've kept some money with an Irani man, and I want you to use that money for my funeral." Merwan Seth promised. After some time, the man died of a drug overdose.
Wow.
Merwan Seth arranged for the man's burial, but it turned out to be more like a celebration than a funeral. There was a parade with 3 bands, several bright lanterns, and flowers of all varieties garlanding his body. People came out of their homes to see what the reason was for such an unusual procession. After the man was buried, hundreds of the poorest, most destitute people of the city were fed in his name, with Merwan Seth personally supervising the meal. Other men who, suffering with afflictions and addictions, also came to the toddy shop seeking Merwan Seth's advice, or merely for sympathy. He never told them, "Listen to me," or "You must obey me." It was simply natural for those who came in his contact to listen to his advice and obey his word.
Oh, this touches my heart.
Yeah.
He would work with derelicts, drug addicts. You see the funeral they gave this man? They treated him like a king. You think in a society a drug derelict dying in the street would be treated like that?
No,
they would put him in a box and take him to some unknown place. And here Baba treated this soul like a king.
Yeah.
And then in the man's name said, this man is feeding you because he had some extra money. Oh, Baba, this touches my heart.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Therefore they say highest the highest.
Yeah.
The highest, because we sometimes think he's only for the rich, the good.
Yeah.
But he's probably more for
You
the...
should see what a dream Gus had 2 nights ago about Baba.
What?
Later, or you want to see
Okay,
now?
well,
Yeah.
well, tell us.
Don't be embarrassed.
Tell us if you...
What was it about? Oh, wait a minute. I was stranded on one side of, across like a channel or something, like a peninsula. And I had no shoes on, I was freezing. And in order to get to the other side, I had to walk all the way around in order to get on the mainland. And what happens is, I was contemplating on how to get there. I said, it'd take me about 2 days to walk around to the other side of the island, the peninsula, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, all of a sudden, there was a man, all of a sudden he appeared to me, like Baba, but I'd never seen his face, and he never said nothing to me, but yet, somehow, I understood exactly what he was telling me. You understand now? In other words, he knew I wanted to get across, because if I didn't get across, I'd probably perish, from the,
Exposure.
exposure, yeah. So what happened is, he says, follow me. I heard him say, follow me, so he started
He
walking.
didn't talk, but he knew that's what he said.
He
Yeah,
didn't say one
intuitively.
word. How did I understand? I
You just
don't know.
knew intuitively, yeah.
Oh, I followed. I'd never seen his face, but yet he looked at Baba, his
What
long
kind?
white thing and his shoulder right there.
Tony,
And he started walking on top of the water.
He told me,
And I was right behind him, walking the same way.
on top of water.
On
Walk
top of
on the water.
Can you believe it?
And that was maybe about 3 or 4 miles we had to cross that body of water,
Yeah.
or a stretch
Like
of
a
water.
cement, he said, like a cement.
Anyway,
but over the water.
I was saying, Jesus, water is cold and hard. I said, my feet are stinging.
Hard. The water
Well,
cannot
I don't
be
know
hard.
why. Anyway, he didn't say nothing. So we got across the water, and then he motioned to me. There's a VW, one of those campers, or what do you want to call them,
campers.
So he told me, I understood that he told me to go inside and wait for him and get warmed up and change your clothes and be back. He never came back though.
And you woke up?
I woke up there.
Somebody call you.
What?
Oh, some guy from a long time ago, some kid.
That you knew.
He woke me up. He started calling me.
In his sleep. No.
He starts calling me, and I woke up, and I recognized him as one of my friends when I was younger, about 13, 14 years old. He was on a bike. And he said, "You coming?" I said, "I didn't even know where I was going." I said, "Yeah, in a few minutes." So I says, "Hey, Frank," his name was Frank. So I say, "Frank," I says, "Go see you to find this man." I said, he had a long white garment on, and he had long hair, and he was walking real slowly towards that direction. Anyway, that's how I said to the kid, and the kid went off, and nobody came. The kid didn't come, or Baba didn't come.
Wow. What a beautiful dream.
Like Baba said him inside the car.
Yes,
He said,
safe.
change and I come back.
Yes.
I can come back.
Well, there's probably a meaning
That
to
was,
that. In other words, he's coming back for him.
He said he's coming back, but he never showed up in my dreams.
Yeah, but I'm saying the dream has a significance. But
Can you believe
what
it?
I like about your dream, it is so
Beautiful dream.
so clear.
Yeah, it was very
I mean,
clear.
it's very clear. I could see it. It's a clear dream because sometimes dreams are quite abstract.
Yeah.
No, you know,
This
this
is
was
not our dream. This one he never forget. He told me 2 days ago. He still
That's what
remembers
Bear
nice.
said when it's about Baba, it's not a dream.
Oh,
See, what a beautiful dream. Baba came to him.
That was Baba. He never showed me his face, and yet somehow he was always like
oh yeah.
his side or his back. I couldn't
You
look at it and see
definitely
his face.
sensed it.
But he was just like Baba.
Baba, I know. Baba.
I see the movies.
You know it's Baba, yeah.
Yeah, I know it was
Baba.
Baba. Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Should I continue, Rosalie?
Okay.
Shah Kaharushu was the son of Shiriar's elder brother Kahodadad. The family lived in Bombay. and from childhood, Shah had played with Merwan and later greatly admired his cousin. Unfortunately, in the prime of his youth, Shah suddenly died. The tragic news reached Shiriyar, but due to unavoidable circumstances, neither he nor Shireen could go to Bombay to pay the respects. Shah had been a virtuous young man, and in business he had been his father's right hand. Kudodad.
Kodadad.
Is that Kudodad?
Yeah, Kodadad, yeah.
Kudodad.
He came here. He came old man, remember? He came with 2 sons from Canada.
Kudodad.
Yeah.
And his family were deeply stricken with grief. Shiriyar and Shireen decided that Merwan should be sent to represent the family and on their behalf participate in the funeral ceremony. Then after 4 days returned when the last rites were completed. Though Merwan had been on close terms with his cousin, he did not react as if Shah's death was such a terrible tragedy. Understanding the true nature of life and death and how they are united forces, it was very difficult for Merwan to express sorrow or grief at the funeral. He was aware of the usual proceedings of wailings and weepings at Zoroastrian funerals, and he knew that if he did not exhibit such emotions, his uncle would be offended. He did not look forward to 4 days of lamentation and tried to escape this responsibility, but his parents insisted that he attended. In other words, at Zoroastrian funerals, everybody... Muslim, they weep.
They moan, they cry.
Yeah, they do. And
I used to go to a lot of those
really,
places.
and they expect it. If you don't do it, they want to know what's wrong.
Yeah.
So you've done it. You've cried.
A lot. Nobody
People don't know know each other, they cry.
Yeah, even we don't know my friends.
Really?
They cry so badly, I cry too. Yeah.
Oh my!
Because they talk or you did
You just see the way they moan and groan. And
they faint. Yeah, really.
Oh really? So wow.
Yeah.
So Merwan took a train to Bombay, and he went to the family's home where he found the expected atmosphere of gloom with tears and mourning. Despite his efforts, Merwan could not bring himself to express any sign of grief. Fortunately, a perfect stratagem arose. On seeing the corpse dressed in a white gown displayed, Merwan relaxed his whole body and fell down on the floor as if in a swoon. In other words, when the corpse was brought out, Merwan looked at it and pretended like, oh, and he dropped to the ground. So he didn't have to cry. Clever.
That's what I failed.
He says, thinking that he had fainted, the family tried various remedies to bring him around. Thus he escaped the depressing funeral. They took him in a private room to try to revive him.
Can you believe it?
When the mourners departed that day, Kudodad was worried about Merwan. He was as dear to his uncle as his own son had been. He was aware of Merwan's traumas and thought it best to send his nephew back to Pune by the next train. Merwan expressed his sympathy to all the other relatives before departing, though he was relieved to escape the dread-filled atmosphere.
Allah.
Merwan's Aunt Dawla and Uncle Faridun owned a restaurant
That
in
was
Pune.
his father's name too, Faridun.
Yeah, Faridun, yeah. Merwan's Aunt Dawla and Uncle Faridun owned a restaurant in Pune, and every morning between 9 and 10 o'clock, he would come there to have fresh cream with sugar. Ooh, cream with sugar. A good portion was always kept aside for their Merwan.
Cream and sugar is sour cream. Our customers eat with the sugar or with honey.
That's what Merwan liked.
Yeah.
The prasad of sweets and fruits that was distributed after the morning arti at the temple room was prepared by Aunt Dawla with the help of cousin Naja and Jamshed's wife Khorshid, whose love for Merwan transformed into spiritual devotion. See, this girl Khorshid had her eyes on Merwan for marriage.
Same Khorshid?
No. This is a different Khorshid.
Different one.
And so Merwan knew this. So he encouraged his friend Jamshed to marry her because he knew that she liked him so much.
Did you know that Khorshid, this one was made engagement to Iraj, this one, you know that?
This Khurshid in India was engaged to Erich?
Erich.
No.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
You know, I heard before from some people. I went in Mandalay Hall, I asked Erich. He laughed, he said, you want to know? I know you want to know. In front of everybody. I said, yeah, I want to know. But he said the story.
You made him tell the story.
So then Baba, yeah.
Because Erich doesn't like to talk about it.
Yeah, he didn't like it.
He doesn't.
He said, I think you really want to know. I said, I really want to know.
Who didn't like it?
Erich. Kathy prompted Erich to tell the story.
Yeah, she asked him one of the things. He talks, he said.
That's good though, that's good.
Confidentially, you know.
Yeah, that was the story. That was the story. They said for shit.
Too much.
And then?
What's nice here, it said the prasad of sweets and fruits that was distributed after the morning arti at the temple room was prepared by Aunt Dawla with the help of cousin Naja and Jamshid's wife Khurshid, whose love for Merwan transformed in spiritual devotion. She at first loved him differently. Now she loved him spiritually. But you know what's so sweet about this? Is his running this toddy shop and then having the morning arti at the temple next to the toddy shop became a community thing. Look at his auntie is making prasad. You see what I'm saying? It's like, it feels like what a joyful time.
Like a home, like a family, like a joy.
I mean, but everybody is feeling good and wanting to share, and wanting Merwan to go, and they were so happy. Oh.
But I want to tell you one thing. We grew up like that. Iranian people grew up. That's where they grew up.
You grew up like this?
To Baba.
You had sweets made?
All our mosque was like a friendly, friendship. We go there like a party every day, all together. We grew up that way too.
You did?
Iranian people. To Baba.
This was in Iran?
Yeah.
Wow. So now as people look forward
Therefore I am that way you see now. I can ask.
People
I grew up that
way.
As
people look forward every day to go to the mosque to share the fruits and prasad. And, that's what the center should be.
He was in Egypt, he knows, in the 4 o'clock in the morning they call each other loud, go for prayer, go for tea.
Oh yeah.
You know, isn't it so? 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I know up in Srinagar when I was on a houseboat, these boatsmen would get on top of their boat.
Yeah.
As soon as the sun started at 6 o'clock,
Allah
Akbar, Allah.
Yeah.
And it would echo across the lake.
I know.
The lake, and I would say, but now I understand what it is. It's called a prayer.
Not the prayer.
Yeah.
This is a joyous time.
Yeah.
Why not let's go pray.
You give it 5 minutes.
Yeah. To get up, wash and clean and
5 minutes.
After they call.
And then you run.
5 minutes.
You run 5 minutes. Uncle Faradun would bring the prasad that was prepared by Auntie to the temple each morning in a large basket. Cousin Aspandiar would not attend the morning prayer since he would be left in charge of the restaurant in Faradun's absence. Thus all of Merwan's close friends served him in one way or another. They too started referring to him as Merwan Seth instead of Merog. Whatever profits came from the toddy shop, Merwan Seth would spend on the prasad or give away to the beggars or sadhus that sought alms at the doorstep of the toddy shop. He carried little money with him. However, it was the beauty of divine love that attracted people to Merwan Seth. The love he embodied was powerful and intoxicating. It was making people in Cosmopeth divinely mad to always seek his presence. They would get up at any time.
Yeah.
They wanted to be with him.
Yeah,
Oh.
Like honeys to the bee.
One day while Merwan Seth was distributing prasad in the temple, a teenage boy came forward and held out his hands to receive the sweets. Merwan Seth asked his name, and the boy replied, Vishnu Narayan Diorukar. Merwan Seth inquired, What do you do? I go to school, replied Vishnu. Where is your father? Inquired Merwan Seth. He is dead, replied Vishnu. Merwan Seth looked into the boy's eyes with compassion and said, From now on, I am your father. That's Vishnu. What do you mean, Merwan Seth? Asked the boy. I don't understand. Merwan Seth smiled, handed him some prasad, and touched his head. The boy then ran off. You want to take it, Gus?
Where?
From the top of the page, Vishnu.
Here.
down, yeah, this time, yeah.
Can we tonight? Can we call it at 9?
I don't.
Okay.
Because I just have to make calls and stuff. And
Yeah,
I
sure.
don't want to
Another
miss it.
40 minutes. We'll go to 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. Good. Let's start.
Start?
Yeah. Vishnu.
Vishnu's house was across the street from the toddy shop, and soon after the encounter, Merwan Seth decided to visit the boy's family. Vishnu's mother, a devout Hindu, was named Sarawati Kakubai Dorkar. She received Merwan Seth reverently, addressing him as he entered the house of Deva. Merwan Seth inquired about her welfare and asked, "Will you cook dal and rice for me in the afternoon?" She replied with great pleasure, Deva. From that day on, Merwan Seth would go to her house every day for lunch. After a few days, he started coming to any odd time saying, I am hungry, Sarawati, can you prepare some food? The Hindu lady accepted Merwan Seth's request as from her deity, allowing her to serve him. She did not call him Merwan Seth, but always Deva, her god. One day, Saraswati complained to him, Deva, my son, Vishnu goes to the movies every day. I am afraid that he is associating with bad group of boys. Please talk to him and set him straight. He will not listen to me. Please help my son, Deva, before he gets into trouble. Merwan Seth immediately went to the local movie theater and caught hold of Vishnu, who was about to enter with some other boys. He took the boy aside and slapped him soundly a few times. Vishnu was taken back and said, Merwan Seth, I have bought the ticket with my own money. I have not stolen anything. Why are you beating me?
They were beating Merwan.
Yeah, Merwan Seth.
Then,
Did you ask me if you could go to the movies? Replied Merwan Seth. Didn't I tell you that I would be your father? Why didn't you ask me before going to the movies? Vishnu did not reply, for he instantly knew that from then on he should not do anything without Merwan Seth's permission. Saraswati was delighted with the change in attitude of her son. After a while, Merwan Seth altered his eating habits and began to eat lunch cooked by his mother. A boy named Madho Maroti Ubain was hired by him to fetch his afternoon meals from his mother's house and bring it to the toddy shop. Madho was 12 years old and was quite intimidated by Shireen. He became another spy of hers. Every day Madho came to pick up the food, he would interrogate him about her son's activities. Who visits my son? To whom does he give money? What does he do in the shop? Do people cheat him? Does he allow anyone to steal from him? Madho would innocently tell her everything. When Merwan Seth would visit the home, Shireen would scold him over his impractical, unbusinesslike ways. Then she would turn to her husband and ask him to teach their sons how to run a prosperous toddy shop. To appease her, Shahryar would pretend to be angry and scold his son, while the whole time he winked, making light of the affair. During this period, Shireen fell ill and Merwan Seth stopped. Merwan Seth stopped having his meals sent from home. However, Shireen still insisted upon seeing Madho and would interrogate him. Who sends food to my son now? What do they feed him? Does he eat? Madho was informed that Merwan Seth took meals from a Hindu lady, Saraswati, and sometimes from Sadashiv Patel's wife. Explained it was usually plain dal and rice and vegetables. When she heard this, Shireen was displeased and stormed out of the house. Hiring a tongue of Sadashiv's house, there he berated his wife, Gita, who patiently and quietly heard Shireen's long list of complaints against Merwan and his association of activities. Gita sympathized with Shireen and to calm her offered a sweet delicacy called Paron Polis. A special dessert served to cool Shireen's temper, and she went home in a happier mood. Another man who became drawn to Merwan's set at this time was Arjan Dagdu Supercar, who owned a tobacco shop near the Toddy shop. Merwan's set became fond of chewing pan, whatever that is.
The next week you believe.
Oh, that's that
yeah.
Beetle nut.
What's that?
It's called beetle nut.
Tobacco became one of Arjan's regular customers, buying Jarada, a strong type of chewing tobacco. He would sit with Arjan chewing the tobacco. Talk to him at length. How is your business? Inquired Merwan said. Do you make enough money? How is your family? How many children do you want? And so forth. Arjan was deeply touched by Merwan's interest and sympathy, eventually confessing that he was barely surviving financially. Merwan started spending a lot of time at Arjan's shop, buying tobacco and fan for himself and others. At times, he would sing the songs of the Hindu Sadgurus, Tukaram, Ramadas, and Kabir, and thus Arjan became a Hindu. He became very convinced that Merwan was a spiritual figure. Eventually, all of Arjan's family became devoted to Merwan Set. During 1919, Merwan Set happened to visit Bombay at this time. Another young Persian named Khodadad Farhad Irani was living there. Khodadad had a burning ambition to become a movie actor, and obsessed with this idea, he went from one movie studio to another for auditions, but no one chose him for a part. He became disappointed and depressed, finally contemplating suicide. While Khodadad's inner turmoil was occurring, Merwan Set was walking through the city when he came across the ejected young man sitting on the sidewalk. Seeing him, Merwan Set stopped and inquired, Who are you, son? Why do you look so sad? You look as if you haven't a hope in the world. Khodadad retorted, What business is of yours, sir? Who are you anyway? Merwan Set smiled and said, I am the owner of a film company in Pune, and I am here in Bombay to interview actors. Would you happen to know of anyone who would like to work in a film company?
Oh my God.
The young man couldn't believe his ears. Excitedly said, Yes, sir, I've been looking for this job myself for the past 3 months. Merwan said, Fine, I will hire you. Can you come with me now to Pune?
He's handsome.
Of course, Khodadad immediately agreed. Merwan Set took Khodadad to Pune, but one day arrived, he said, I want you to work in my toddy shop. The work here is just temporary. My film company is in the final stages of formation. As soon as it starts, I promise you will work there. Khodadad agreed. However, by being constantly in the spiritually intoxicating atmosphere of Kasbah Pet, the young man soon forgot about the previous acting ambition and became totally dedicated to Merwan Set activities. Later, Merwan Set nicknamed him Nervous because of the slightest mishap, even more so in Merwan Set present. Young Khodadad would appear uneasy and anxious. His name truly befitted him, and it was more often than not nervous.
It's Khodadad, huh?
Khodadad, here he is, over here.
I thought it's Baba's picture.
No, Khodadad Farhad Irani.
Let me see.
No, he's handsome.
Nervous.
Because I don't have glasses, I don't see it.
Very handsome.
Oh, yeah.
Handsome.
Wow.
Very handsome.
This is Mustaji over here.
Where I was that time.
Huh?
That's handsome.
Yeah, very handsome.
Very
1923.
Holy face.
Wait,
Ah.
1923.
Ooh, even I was not born that time.
I was born that year.
You go, oh yeah. And then,
Okay, now, you want me to read or wait for her?
what we can do?
Continue.
So, you were born in 23?
1923.
You were born 23?
I'm 73 years old.
What?
Yeah.
The little old man.
He looks great.
He is very good.
I didn't think you were, I thought you were in your early 60s.
No, he is very
That's
good.
great,
Thank God.
Gus.
He's retired now 7 years.
I retired 8 years now.
That's great, Gus.
8 years.
What was grace?
Yes.
But I keep him always busy too. You know, if I would be, you know what I mean.
I know.
Always go around
Yeah, you
town.
don't let him become,
Yeah.
sitting.
I don't give him time to get sick, to get, you know.
You're not kidding.
I don't give him time to die in bed. My daughter told me, Heidi told me, you don't give him time to go, you don't give time to go to die. Always make him busy. That's important, that stuff, you know.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Continue.
During this period, Merwan's childhood friend Bailey was stationed in Aden at the Navy port along the Arabian Sea, but for some reason he did not maintain correspondence with Merwan. Within a year, Merwan later was informed that circumstances landed Bailey in serious trouble. He had been living luxuriously as if he was a high-ranking important officer, which he was not, and his salary could not keep up with his extravagant lifestyle. Bailey developed a serious drinking problem, frequented brothels, and found himself struggling with pressing debts.
Oh, Bailey.
He developed a drinking problem?
Huh?
Bailey developed a drinking problem. Is that what it's called?
Bailey developed a serious drinking problem.
Frequented the brothels.
He had gotten
Frequented
out
brothels
of the
and found
Navy.
himself struggling with pressing debts.
Wow.
To escape his creditors, he applied for leave of 1 month, which was granted. However, the officer who was to take his post committed suicide, and Bailey's leave was canceled.
Wow.
In the meantime, a junior officer filed a complaint to headquarters that Bailey had been embezzling funds. At the trial, he was found guilty, court-martialed, and stripped of rank and jail. The judge sentenced him to 2 years in prison, but the general in charge had it reduced by six months. After serving his sentence in prison, Bailey was dishonorably discharged from the Navy and in 1919 returned to Pune.
Wow.
Bailey was a disgrace to his family. Gradually, in the course of several weeks, every former friend knew of his jail term, and nobody wished to be associated with a convicted criminal, especially one who was an embezzler. No one trusted him, and it was difficult for him to find work. Bailey also had a hot temper, seldom could control his anger, and would get into fights. So his relatives had no sympathy for him, and he was met with cold indifference. He looked for job after job, but no one would hire him. As a few months passed, he tried to atone for his previous behavior, but the community's attitude did not change. He was not forgiven, and was finally completed ostracized. He became extremely depressed, and one day, after having a bitter quarrel with his parents, when they called him a disgrace to his face, he decided to commit suicide.
Oh, wow.
The same day, Bailey's brother, Homie, went for a drink at Merwan's toddy shop. Casually, Merwan said to Quiet, "Where's Bailey these days? What has become of him? We used to write, but I haven't heard from him in over a year." "Don't you know Bailey has been in Pune for a few months?" said Homie. "Didn't you hear he was kicked out of the Navy for embezzling money?" Merwan said, "Days serious," said Homie at home. "No, I didn't know. Go and bring him to me at once. I will give you a round of drink, but bring him here immediately." Merwan said gave Homie money for a horse, Tonga, and he raced home. When Homie arrived at Bailey's room, the door was locked. Homie called out, but there was no reply. He pounded on the door, and Bailey said, "Whoever is there, go away." His brother identified himself, and Bailey repeated, "Go away. I don't want to see anyone. Your old friend Merwan wants to see you. Open up. Come on. Come with me, and we'll have a toddy with him." Homie said, "I don't want to drink. I don't want to see anyone. Let me alone," shouted Bailey. His brother shouted back, "Open this door, I'll break it down. Merwan feels very bad as you haven't come to see him since you've been in Pune. I've been telling you Merwan feels bad and wants to see you. He's still is your friend and you fool. You must come. He insisted I bring you at once. Now open the door, I'll break it down.
Wow.
A few moments before, Billy had been about to drink a cup of poison. He hid the poison and reluctantly opened the door. Before he could protest, Homie grabbed him and dragged him outside to the waiting Tonga. What's a Tonga?
It's like
Tanga is horse, like a horse
Horse-drawn.
yeah.
horse-drawn carriage.
Toroshke, they call it. Tanga.
What?
It's like
The
a
people sit inside with horse they go in front.
Oh, a carriage.
Carriage.
Yeah.
Motioning the driver to return, Merwan said. Oh, when they arrived, Merwan said had gone. Gustavo was attending the shop and informed them that Merwan said had just left on some urgent errand and asked him to tell Billy to please wait. Billy describes in his diary what happened next. I had not to wait long. Within 15 minutes I saw him coming. At the time I was pacing outside on the road, and no sooner he saw me, he came running and took me in his arms, embraced me warmly, kissing me over my face and neck. Tears came. Merwan said, embraced Billy so lovingly, it was as if no one else was dear to him. Dear to him as Billy, but Billy broke down. He had never experienced such love. His family and friends had turned their backs on him, but his old friend Merwan still cared about him. He had forgotten what love was. He was so overcome he could not utter a word. Billy stood silent, looking at Merwan's face. Merwan had changed. He looked more normal than when Billy had last seen him, but his eyes were still dazed. Merwan sat led him into the coffee shop to give him a drink. He sat at the quiet corner table, and Billy poured out what had happened to him. Hearing it, Merwan said and admonished him. Let the past be gone. Why worry about past wrongs? Every person has done something wrong. God has done to forgive. Billy was so influenced by what Merwan said as the impression disappeared. Why didn't you write to me about all this? Merwan said. But I did write. I wrote several letters, but you never replied. Then I heard that you were a spiritual figure, a guru, and thought that perhaps you had let Puna, pleaded Bailey. Don't bother trying to explain. I know it all, replied Merwan said. I want you to come and see me every day. I promise everything will turn out all right if you do so. Bailey agreed. Merwan made Bailey understand that he would never be left helpless again. Bailey realized his old friend had saved his life. He stopped thinking about suicide and regularly began visiting Merwan set at the toddy shop. Merwan set became Bailey's pillar of strength and source of love.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Wow.
That's something I didn't know.
I love where he says that God is there to forgive.
God is there to forgive.
Every person has done something wrong.
You know what? This just touches my heart.
Oh
because
my God.
we tend to judge people,
Oh
our
yeah.
own loved ones, our
Yeah.
brothers or sisters.
Yeah.
We tend to judge people in life.
You cannot judge people.
And look at Baba. Everyone in the world, his friends turned against Bailey. His parents called him a disgrace. No matter.
I know.
Can you imagine why he wanted to
Everybody put him down.
Oh, they put him down to the point where this guy felt, why should I live? Oh, what a story.
Yeah. They had that in a Sufi play.
Did they?
It really struck me. Yeah.
Merwan made Bailey understand that he would never be left helpless again. Bailey realized his old friend had saved his life. He stopped thinking about suicide and regularly began visiting Merwan's set at his toddy shop. Merwan's set became Bailey's pillar of strength and source of love. Later it was discovered that the letters Bailey wrote had been hidden away by Shireen. His mother did this because she was afraid Merwan was thinking of going to Aden to see Bailey, and she did not want him to go far away, especially to a foreign country. Shireen honestly admitted her fault, and Merwan forgave her. After this incident, Bailey remembered Baba Jan's words. You will have to wait for 5 years. He tells me 2 years. Now, I will not allow 2 years. So come after a year and a half. He then understood that she had meant. He had been sentenced to 2 years in prison, but the general had reduced it to a year and a half. Similarly, he remembered that Merwan had foretold that something terrible would happen if he left for Aden and wanted his orders changed.
Oh yeah, remember that in that chapter? In Babajan and Bailey are talking, and he says, "I'll see."
Though he erroneously attributed to Merwan's deep religious beliefs and daily prayers from childhood. But shortly thereafter, he was to discover how wrong his conceptions were. Merwan sent frequent visits to Sikori, expanded his circle of contacts. Afsani Maharaj, like Asa Babajan, would often mention Merwan to his followers. One of Afsani's followers was a very special lady named Gulmai, who was the wife of Khan Sahib Kai Kushu Surash Irani Rahman Nagar. Gulmai was then in her mid-30s and a mother of 4 children. She became close to the devotee of Afsani Maharaj due to the following incidents.
You know?
Okay, you want to read now?
Mind of me.
Okay.
Because Rosalind said at 9 o'clock.
Okay, I'll start. I'll do it. Okay.
You know where?
I'll do now. Yeah. Merwan's uncle Rustam was in Ahmednagar, employed at a liquor store owned by Mr. Kaikarushu. The owner's sister, Gulnar, suffered from a skin disease, and Rustam told her about Upasni Maharaj. Gulnar went to Sikori for the Sadguru's darshan soon after her disease miraculously disappeared. Gulnar's contact was most significant because she in turn told Gulmai about Upasni Maharaj. And there's a footnote here that I'd like to read on
Gulmai was Adi's mother.
Adi's mother. And on 275 is the footnote. It says, Gulnar Irani, the sister of Kaikarushu S. Irani, was the mother of one of Meher Baba's closest men disciples named Sarosh. Gulmai Irani was the wife of Kaikarushu. Her real name was Gulbai, and she was later renamed by Upasni Maharaj, and this name Meher Baba always called her. Although Gulmai was interested in spirituality, at first she did not wish to visit a Hindu master. Consequently, this Zoroastrian lady did not visit Sikori for several weeks after her sister-in-law had told her of her miraculous cure, which Gulnar attributed to Upasni Maharaj. During August 1919, Gulmai's sister Suna and her husband Kaikarushu Masa came to Ahmednagar from Bombay to visit their in-laws. Kaikarushu was an ardent lover of God and had been to Shirdi for Sai Baba's darshan years before. It was at Shirdi that he learned of Upasni Maharaj and went for his darshan at Sikori. He also seen Merwan set there and immediately had an experience of the divinity manifesting in Merwan's set. Kaikarushu tried to persuade Gulmai to accompany them to Sikori, but she refused because she felt her husband would not like it if she visited a Hindu master. When Kaikarushu, Suna, and Gulnar were before Upasni Maharaj, they spoke to him about the miracle of Gulnar's skin disease disappearing, and then about Gulmai's devotional nature and her family problems. Gulnar explained to the Sadguru, "My sister-in-law is very depressed and alienated. Could you draw her to you like you have drawn us?" Upasni replied, "Do not be so worried about her. I will do the same for her as I have done for you. You and she, as well as the whole family, will come to me. Have faith and come to Sikori as frequently as you can. Her depression will disappear like your skin disease did." Upasni then told him that they were welcome to stay that night at Sikori, but Gulnar wanted to go back to Ahmednagar. However, on their return, they were stranded near a river which had flooded. Thus, instead of being in the ashram of a God-conscious master, they had to spend the night in a donkey stable because Upazni invited them to stay, and they said no. They wanted. When Gulnar returned, she was very happy that she had met again the Saguru, and she told Gulmai about the trip, then pleaded with her to make it a point to meet Upazni Maharaj soon. Gustaji had been at Sikori on this occasion, and had accompanied the group back to Ahmednagar on his way to Pune. He told them about the arti to Upazni Maharaj which Merwan Seth had composed, and Gulnar, wanting to recite it, requested Gustaji to write it down. However, he did not remember the entire arti, and told her he would get it from Merwan Seth and mail her a copy. Suna longed to take her sister to Sikori before she and her husband left for Bombay. For 2 weeks she pleaded with her sister to visit the Sadguru, but Gulmai refused. Finally, Gulmai agreed and was accompanied by Kairushu Masa, Rustam, and Bekhoda Arani and his wife, acquaintances from Pune. They reached Sikori around noon. Among thorny, scraggly bushes, they saw Upazni Maharaj's thatched hut with a small temple nearby. A few paces away was a pipal tree, under which 2 young Persians were sitting.
What's a pipal tree?
Or a pipal. Probably a pipal. Pipal tree. Pipal. I don't know what.
Gallon. I wonder what it is. But I want to tell you, Gulmai was Baba's spiritual mother.
Yeah, I heard that too.
And Gulmai, when she passed away, he threw roses on her grave. Yeah. Yeah. Roses. I mean, he showered her grave with roses. I mean, incredible.
Baba loved him more than even his own mother, Mani said to us. How is Mani, by the way?
I don't know. I haven't heard any results.
That girl I gave from India, she was very.
Oh, yeah.
It was awesome to see her.
Yeah. Then?
Gulmai approached them, and Kairushu, Rustam, and Bekhoda started a conversation. Bekhoda's wife whispered to Gulmai, "Do you know who that is?" Gulmai shook her head, "No." Bekhoda's wife asked, "Do you know Shiriyar Mundigar Irani of Pune?" Gulmai said, "Yes. Shiriyar is related to my father and came to my wedding." Bekhoda's wife explained, "That is Shiriyar's son Merwan, and the other is his business partner Bairamji. They own a toddy shop in Pune. They too are devoted to the Hindu master." Gulmai replied, "I've heard that Shiriyar has a son who had gone insane. Is he the same son?" Mrs. Bekhoda said, "Yes. However, you should hear him sing. He sings beautifully." "I would like to hear him," Gulmai said. "We will ask him to sing later." In the meantime, Merwan Seth had been explaining to Kairushu and Bekhoda how he had met Upazni Maharaj and about Upazni's great fasts and penances when the Sadguru came to see them. All went inside Upazni Maharaj's hut. They bowed to him, and he asked where they came from, what family they belonged to, etc. They answered him. Then he remarked, "This family life is all crap." And there's a footnote.
A shit note.
Upazni Maharaj would often swear or use abusive language. Swearing or vulgar language was symbolic of his work of annihilating sanskaric bindings, the grossness of a person's consciousness. This family life is all crap. Lifetime after lifetime is wasted in this way. If one wants wheat grain but inquires at a cloth shop, the shopkeeper will say, "No grain is available here. You can only buy cloth here. Similarly, you can only get from here whatever I have." Upazni Maharaj asked each about matters pertaining to them personally. As soon as Gulmai had entered his hut, she was astonished to find that the naked master was the same figure who had appeared to her previously in a vivid dream. She listened intently to his words as he spoke of God, the spiritual path, and the need of a perfect master. Gulmai was very impressed with Upazni Maharaj, and she immediately felt comfortable in his presence, as if she had found an old friend. You want to pick it up for me?
Yeah. Gulmai spontaneously said, "Maharaj, you have what is not available elsewhere. I want only that. Upasni then told them to eat their lunch and rest. Then they were to return in the afternoon and meet with him again. As they came out of the hut, they found Merwan Seth waiting for them. He helped them take their parcels to the Maruti temple nearby, and then said that he would return at 3 o'clock to take them to Upasni. After lunch, Merwan Seth arrived and narrated how he had met Babashan and Sai Baba. When Merwan Seth started to take the group to Upasni, they told him that they had heard that he sang beautifully and asked if he would sing one song. He politely changed the subject and took them to Upasni's hut, where they sat under the pipal tree together. Upasni Maharaj called each person at a time. Gulmai's turn was last. As she approached the door, conflicting emotions overwhelmed her. She wondered how to unburden herself to the Sadguru. Merwan Seth, who was standing near the entrance, urged her to go inside and empty whatever she had in her heart and mind to him and not to hold back. Gulmai, after gaining her composure, wondered how Merwan Seth had known what was going on inside her. She entered the hut, but was at a loss as to what to say to Upasni Maharaj. As soon as she started to speak, tears came. Gulmai has other miseries besides her unhappy home and social alienation. She had developed pustules all over her body and was afraid it indicated some disease. She had thought of telling Upasni about it, but was embarrassed. He looked at her from head to foot, and then she told him of her ailment. Upasni assured her that it was nothing serious and would disappear. Then Upasni called Durgabai, saying, "This lady is miserable. She is unhappy at home and has an affliction because of her unhappiness. Explain to her that I know everything, so there is no need to tell me anything." Gulmai fell at Upasni Maharaj's feet and begged him to accept the surrender of her body, mind, progeny, and possessions. She burst into tears again as she narrated how difficult her life had been. Finally, she beseeched Upasni to allow her to stay with him permanently at Sakori. Upasni explained that she could not. Those without worldly attachments pursue forms of worship and disciplines, puja and sadhanas. It is not new to them. It is thus easy. But to be in the world, samsara, and belong predominantly to God and totally devoted to Him is the highest form of worship. To suffer between the urge of God and the drag of life, to balance longing for God with the observance of household duties, to remain untouched like oil in a sea of activities, karma, is much more helpful for attaining the highest spiritual aim, aham brahmasmi. You and I have past connections. You are deeply connected with me spiritually through previous births. I have had my nazar on you for a long time. Finally, you have come. Cryptically, he then said, "Your Zarathustra is here. I am closely linked with Zoroastrians, though I was raised a Hindu, and in the future they will flock to me in large numbers." Upasni Maharaj then concluded, "Listen, Go back to your husband and family. Ahmednagar is very near. Whenever you feel it necessary, you may come here. You are welcome here. You may come alone. You may see me as often as you need. However, a continuous stay with me in this rustic area as you desire is not advisable, considering your present circumstances. Do not worry about anything. My Nazar is always on you. Gulmai accepted Upasni Maharaj's instructions and came out of the hut to find a group sitting under the pipal tree, listening to Merwan Seth telling stories about Sai Baba, Babajan, and how Lord Ram's birthday was grandly celebrated at Sakori. Gulmai sat down and listened. Meanwhile, preparations had been started for Upasni Maharaj's evening arti. In the small temple near the Sadguru's hut, a devotee was adorning photographs of Sai Baba and Upasni Maharaj with flowers and incense. Soon after, the whole group participated in the ceremony. The Zoroastrian group left Sakori by horse tanga in the evening and came to the train station in Rahata. Merwan Seth and Baramji accompanied them by bullock cart. As the baggage was being unloaded, all sat among a grove of trees. Merwan Seth pulled out a book on God and started to read. Calling Gulmai, he handed her the book and told her to read it at home. As they waited for the train to arrive, Merwan Seth distributed chapati bread and chutney that Durgabai had cooked. During the train ride, they heard a melodious voice from the adjoining compartment. Merwan Seth was singing a ghazal. He was fulfilling the group's earlier desire to hear him sing. At Belapur, he and Baramji got out, and Merwan Seth told them that they were going north to Nagpur to see Tajuddin Baba, and commented that Tajuddin was also a great master. Then the rest of the group continued on to Ahmednagar. Some time passed, and Gulmai again visited Upasni Maharaj. After taking his darshan, she offered puja to him in a devout manner. Upasni inquired about her health and then said, "Since Sai Baba dropped his body, his devotees, both Muslim and Hindu, have been transferred to me. They expect my attention, so at times I have to beat them. Many Zoroastrians also come. Those from Pune have a temple. Merwan is one of them. He is an Irani like you. He is always doing something or other here." At this time, Merwan Seth was standing near a well with Sadashiv. When Gulmai came to get a drink of water, he inquired after her, then remarked to Sadashiv, "How sweet is this lady's nature. I also have a mother. How different life would have been if she had been my mother." With these compliments, Merwan Seth snared her heart, and Gulmai embraced him. She returned home the same day. Gulmai never gave up hope of living with Upasni Maharaj during her frequent visits with him over the years. During these visits, she and Merwan Seth also met often. He revealed to her his spiritual experiences, which convinced her beyond doubt that he was, in fact, the spiritual heir or chargeman of Sadguru Upasni Maharaj. During one stay with the Sadguru for 12 days, Gulmai had to bear austere hardships and penances, and was even severely slapped by Upasni Maharaj. Merwan Seth told her, "You are very fortunate to be the first woman to have been granted the grace of a perfect master like Upasni Maharaj by withstanding these tests. You passed through his hardships brilliantly in the sight of God. It is a blessing if a Sadguru beats a person. You are indeed blessed. I have also seen Babajan beat people with a stick." Before Gulmai left Sakori, Upasni told her, "People like holy places where there are big and beautiful temples. Always important and influential persons throng there. That is common among shrines. But to come to this barren place with love and devotion and serve the Master wholeheartedly with full faith is real. What is there in Udwada? There is fire, but here burns the living fire. Real pilgrimage is at the feet of the perfect Master." During 1990, Merwan Seth initiated the building of a small temple in Sakori for performing Upasni Maharaj's arti. He himself would defray the expenses of Bandaras, Hindu feasts, held there, as would Gulmai. Other temples were constructed later in Sakori as his fame as king of the yogis spread. A rich Maharaja built one magnificent Hindu temple there. But the distinction of funding the first temple in Upasni Maharaj's honor rested with Merwan Seth. Gulmai's devotion to Merwan Seth deepened with each encounter, and later she and her husband and children dedicated their lives and property to his cause. Gulmai was later called by him his spiritual mother.
I think it's a good place to end.
Yeah.
Because it's 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
How good is we went to Sakuri, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You really know everything.
You know, I think I met Gulmai. I met her. I met her in my first visit in 70. She was still living, wasn't she?
Oh, I don't know.
In 70.
Baba's godmother, yeah.
No, she ended up with Upasni.
Spiritual mother.
Yeah.
She ended up with Upasni, but see, I didn't know she was a Zoroastrian. So Upasni had a Zoroastrian.
Wow.
It's amazing. So,
Because religion back then didn't mean nothing, you know that.
in fact, Gulmai reminds me of Shireen.
Yeah,
Doesn't she look like Shireen a little bit, Baba's mother?
Yeah.
And you look at her. And look at this picture of Upasni too. Anyway, Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai.